All right, this is Saturday night, and this is a reading and discussion on an article. Sounds like a fun Saturday night. The article is titled "The Market and the Masses from Chaotic Corners to Social Media Retail Events" by a gentleman named Kristian Bondo Hansen. And a little bit about him. He is a postdoctoral researcher at the Copenhagen Business School. Let's see. Primary research areas: social studies of science, data science and machine learning, social studies of finance, science and technology studies, and intellectual history of financial markets. So interesting ideas there. So this is found in the Finance and Society Journal, which is published in the UK, if you're interested. Actually, the link to this article as well is in the description of this video. So this was published April 25th, 2022. And here's the article. So we will get started here and just go through this, and I'll interject some thoughts here and there, possibly. I thought it was interesting. I haven't seen this specifically on YouTube at all. So whatever that means. But anyway, here we go with the abstract. In this essay, I examine and discuss the relationship between the market and the masses in light of recent retail-driven surges in the stock prices of firms like GameStop and AMC. Using two historical snapshots, I draw out similarities and differences between the way the collective power and rationality, or lack thereof, of the masses was portrayed in the late 19th and early 20th century market literature, and in recent debates about investor inclusion, retail investor inclusion, and social media or social trading platform-driven market volatility. The main difference between the historical discourse and the present situation is that the new digital market expanding technologies enable effective retail investor mobilization and thus increase the retail swarm's market moving powers, which were previously less agile and forceful. However, eased and widened market access also transforms digital life into alternative data that is subjected to age-old strategies of market exploitation. So here we go, introduction. The recent boom in retail investing, propelled by the rise of social trading platforms and social media, has brought about changes in the way the financial media and market professionals portray retail investors. In the distant as well as recent past, this group of market actors was mostly viewed as a bunch of timid, malleable noise traders throwing their dumb money into the market, not at random, but whatever overbought stock in sight. Retail investors still bring noise to the markets. In fact, they're making a whole lot of noise these days due to a massive increase in market share and a loud mobilization on social media platforms, most notably the Reddit site Wallstreet Bets, which became a household name in financial media, as well as droves of small investors. Became a household name in financial media as droves of small investors rallied around the ailing GameStop stock, resulting in it taking off in January 2021. As most observers will know, GameStop, a U.S. video game store franchise facing blockbuster-like challenges adjusting to media use increasingly moving online, became a retail investor darling in reaction to aggressive hedge funds' massive short selling of the stock. Framed as a tale of the little man standing up against ruthless financiers' ominous speculation, the GameStop saga demonstrates that when small investors mobilize en masse, They are capable of gamma squeezing the life out of comparatively big financial actors. Recent retail-driven booms and squeezes thus seem to be changing attitudes towards small investors. No longer simply considered docile lemmings or hapless prey, they increasingly are recognized as a disruptive force with the potential of wreaking market havoc by exercising their swarm-like collective powers. This reimagination of the speculating masses is a continuation of a long line and wide range of cultural imaginaries of lay investors and their market mores. In this essay, I relate present debates on the mass mobilization of retail investors to an earlier time in which the role of the masses in financial markets was a topic of concern for crowd theorists, financial journalists, and economists alike. The result is by no stretch of the imagination an exhaustive account of the historical relationship between financial markets and the masses roaming in and outside of them, but rather two historical snapshots from the late 19th and early 20th centuries of the fear and fascination of the forceful yet feeble market crowd. The first of these illuminates how a dubious speculative scheme further ignited the masses' dismay with high finance, while the second shows how crowd dynamics and ideas of contagion and imitation among market actors obscured the spatial and bodily logic of markets. Reverting back to the present, I conclude by arguing that these historical instances of tension between markets and the masses resurface in intensified form today through two contemporary trends: the budding platformization of financial markets, which further erodes boundaries between Wall Street and Main Street, and social media's enablement of virtual and socially contagious market crowd dynamics. Snapshot 1. Buccaneers at the Board of Trade. What shall we say of speculators like that of the young American millionaire who, at the time of the Spanish-American War, bought at one stroke all the corn or wheat obtainable in almost all the markets of the world, to resell it only when the commencement of the scarcity he had provoked had greatly increased the price? The affair should have brought him in £4 million, but it provoked a crisis in Europe, famine and riots in Spain and Italy, and plenty of poor devils died of hunger. Are socialists really in the wrong when they compare the authors of such speculations to common pirates and declare that they deserve the hangman's rope? Le Bon, 1899. The unnamed young American millionaire whose speculative venture in the French polymath Gustave Le Bon was referring to in this excerpt from his book, The Psychology of Socialism, 1899, was none other than the, quote, Napoleon of wheat, speculator Joseph Leiter. In April 1897, at the age of 29, Leiter, the son of a Chicago merchant and multimillionaire real estate magnate Levi Ziegler Leiter, began to buy up all the cash wheat he could get his hands on in the trading pits at the Chicago Board of Trade. Though he refused to admit it, what Leiter commenced in the spring of 1897 was an attempt to corner the wheat market. A corner is established when a speculator or group of speculators acquire enough control of a particular commodity, in Leiter's case wheat, allowing price manipulation. Historically, commodity futures markets have been particularly prone to cornering, the reason being that futures trading allows traders to sell what they do not own with the promise of delivering it at the terminal date of the futures contract, i.e. short selling. To meet their obligations stated in the futures contract, the bearish short sellers would need the physical commodities they have sold short, which they would have to buy from the, quote, deadly enemy of the bears, that is, the cornerer. Either they bought the quantity needed to settle their commitment at an unprofitably high rate, or they defaulted, risking prosecution. As a popular saying went, quote, he who sells what isn't his must buy back or go to prison. Leiter swept the market of physical wheat and gained an advantage over the shorts who did not own the physical equivalent to the wheat they were selling short. When the short sellers had to meet their obligations in the futures contracts and deliver the physical crop, they needed the wheat that Leiter now owned and suddenly found themselves completely at his mercy. The prospect of falling short on their commitments generated a sense of panic among the bears, who started to run up the price on wheat to the benefit of Leiter. Leiter drove them into a corner, his corner, just like the GameStop buy and hold crowd, unified through social media, would squeeze the short-selling hedge funds into theirs some 120 plus years later. The big difference between the two instances of short seller hostage taking is that whereas Leiter and his adversaries all belong to the same financial elite, the GameStop/Wall Street Bets squeeze was, whether completely true or not, cast as the people against morally bankrupt Wall Street power players. As with most attempts to corner markets, Leiter's effects proved futile, regardless of whether it was due to overconfidence, recklessness, greed, or simply bad timing. Leiter, quote, overstayed the market, and it got away from him. That was at least the diagnosis made by financial journalist Isaac Frederick Markison, who wrote a quartet of articles on cornering in Munsey's magazine in 1909. Although unsuccessful, Leiter's audacious speculative enterprise did not pass unnoticed. Magazines and newspapers reveled in Leiter's dubious and daring endeavor, and the events at the Chicago Board of Trade even became sources of inspiration for the novelist Frank Norris when he was writing his bestseller, The Pit, 1903. Norris's dramatic portrait of trading in the Chicago Board of Trade during the years 1897 and 1898 is filled with the descriptions of ferocious crowds of traders struggling to secure the best deals in the whirlpool of the trading pit. He imagines the market as a sublime force that overpowers and crushes people, as eventually happens to the novel's protagonist and Leiter's fictive counterpart, Curtis Jadwin. Contrary to Norris's dramatic depiction, those experiencing it at close quarters found the break of the Leiter corner on June 13, 1898, rather undramatic. Markison recalled no tumultuous scenes in the Chicago wheat pit that day, since Leiter, who was well aware that his luck had run out, simply gave up and handed over his cash holdings of wheat to his creditors. Perhaps wanting to defuse the debacle surrounding his corner attempt, Leiter denied he had cornered the market and told the Associated Press that it simply was, quote, a case where the tail has begun to wag the dog. He explained he had been caught off guard by a sudden fall in wheat prices, as so many speculators had experienced before him. Even though the culmination of Leiter's corner might not have been as spectacular as Norris had portrayed it in the pit, the repercussions of the corner were allegedly as palpable as they were pervasive. In The Psychology of Socialism, Le Bon notes that the corner provoked a crisis in Europe, and Markison traced its ramifications as far as Argentina, India, and Russia. To Le Bon, Leiter's attempt to capitalize on the hunger of populations was an emblematic example of a general, quote, demoralization of the upper strata of society. Because of the, quote, unequal and often unequitable partition of wealth in society, the masses grew increasingly discontent and irritated with the manipulative games of these, quote, common pirates. The bullish retail push causing the prices of GameStop and other heavily shorted stocks like the U.S. movie theater chain AMC to skyrocket in early 2021 was accompanied by a similar combination of inequality narrative and corruption claim, this time largely driven by social media users. But whereas Leiter's corner, according to Le Bon, inflamed the masses' lingering dismay with inequality exacerbating high finance, it was the aggressive short selling of GameStop, AMC, and other stocks that fueled animosity among masses of small investors, which led to the gamma squeeze. Now, back to Leiter's corner. In a Munsey's magazine article covering Leiter's shenanigans, writer and financier Roland E. Smith showed, like Le Bon, no great enthusiasm for corner instigators. As a member of the Chicago Board of Trade and the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, Smith had experienced cornering firsthand. With thinly veiled spite, Smith described corner instigators as, quote, men who ignore commercial ethics, defy trade opinion, and who endeavor to draw the public into the market and finally, during the excitement of the bull market, sell out and let the public hold the bag. These buccaneers, as Smith called them, gave futures trading a bad reputation and discredited the grain trade. Reputation management had been a central focus of U.S. commodities exchanges ever since futures, a financial innovation that the finance-interested public and even some market professionals had a hard time seeing as anything but a vehicle for unadulterated speculation, were introduced in the second half of the 19th century. What differentiated the modern-day, quote, modern-day manipulator from the scrupulous pirate was, according to Smith, that the financier did not force his victim to walk the plank, at least not in the literal sense. Who the financial buccaneers were in the GameStop debacle is trickier to determine. Was it the short sellers preying on the misfortunes of ailing companies and disrupted industries, or rather the squeezers mobilizing on social media and running up prices in individual stock to ridiculous heights? In early 2021, before the dust had settled, the knee-jerk reaction of the U.S. Justice Department's fraud section, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission was to probe into potential manipulation behind the surge in prices for GameStop, AMC, and other stocks. The suspicion seemed to be that someone must have led the mass of small investors on, orchestrating the concerted injection of dumb money into these seemingly hopeless firms. Hence, the culprits probably were cunning, quote, behind-the-scenes speculators, pursuing the age-old pump-and-dump strategy by luring the malleable retail crowd into artificially inflating the prices of GameStop, AMC, Peloton, and others. As the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, stressed in testimony before the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services in May 2021, quote, "I'm not concerned about regular investors exercising their free speech online. I'm more concerned about bad actors potentially taking advantage of influential platforms," unquote. While Smith and Laban found Leiter's corner of the wheat market in Chicago unethical and disgraceful, Laban also saw it as a symbol of the unbridled greed of where I just lost my place. The unbridled greed of bourgeoisie financiers who unwittingly were pushing the masses towards socialism. While Laban showed concern for the way the financial speculation and the accompanying concentration of wealth might affect the masses, his worry should not be confused with sympathy for the deprived masses. On the contrary, there is no Marxian romancing of the working class in Laban's work. In fact, Laban did not think the working class possessed any dignity, autonomy, and revolutionary creativity. When flaunting their riotous inclination, the working class rather was, according to Laban, primitive, violent, destructive, and completely devoid of autonomy. It was out of fear of socialism and not solidarity with the masses that Laban cautioned against the unequal wealth distribution fortified by the schemes of Leiter and other illustrious financiers. The polymath prophet of Western decadence, as historian Eugene E. Leach fittingly calls Laban, foresaw great societal calamities associated with the increasing power of financial capitalism. Quote, "One of the great problems of the future," Laban prophesied, "will be to find the means of escaping from the sovereign and demoralizing powers of the cosmopolitan financiers," unquote. Laban characterized this limited yet immensely powerful group of cosmopolitan financiers as, quote, "masters of public opinion," who extended the scope of their manipulation by seizing control of newspapers and journals and anonymously shaping public opinion to their liking. By swaying the sentiments of the masses, financiers such as Leiter were assuming the role of crowd leader, a role Laban had thoroughly described in his seminal book, The Crowd. To Laban, the problem of financial markets boiled down to an asymmetrical and unidirectional relationship between powerful financiers and the masses. The latter group was subjugated to the former's will, as the hypnotized to the hypnotizer. The problem of late 19th century financial capitalism was thus a crowd psychology problem. With today's retail investors roaming multiple online platforms in search of equal parts market knowledge and investor community, the swaying and formation of public opinion is much less clear-cut than what Bon claimed in his accusations of financial foul play by powerful cosmopolitan financiers. The concerted action drummed up on Reddit, Twitter, and other social media platforms during recent retail-driven stock booms suggests a more complex collective psychology than the unilateral leader-follower dynamic presented in Bon's work. Retail investors seem to have their views on markets shaped by multiple influences, not exclusively from the puppet masters of high finance. Today, the affectation dynamic between the investing masses and the market works both ways, with professional marketeers becoming increasingly aware of and attentive to the ways in which retail investors' rationalizations and motivations move markets. As Gillian Tett put it in a Financial Times opinion piece addressing the GameStop, quote, meme stock mania, studying, quote, attention patterns in cyberspace is now equally important as analyzing market fundamentals. The plethora of mainly virtual venues for shaping views on markets, combined with eased market access through social trading apps, most notably the self-proclaimed democratizers of finance, Robinhood, contribute to a blurring of the boundaries between noise and information, expert and amateur, insider and outsider. Among other consequences, these expansions of the financial ecosystem into the digital realm reshape the spatial logic of the market. Okay, snapshot 2, disrupting the spatial logic of financial markets. Leiter's corner of the wheat market was staged in the Chicago Board of Trade's trading pits. Nowadays, exchanges' trading floors are mere relics of a bygone era. COVID-19 almost dealt the death blow to the iconic Chicago open outcry pits, the Euro-dollar options pit being the exemption, when the CME Group, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, decided not to reopen the pits they had temporarily closed due to the pandemic restrictions. With most of today's trading being semi or fully automated, the physical trading floor is no longer the beating heart of the market as it was in the late 19th century. Back then, the exchange building was the marketplace, and even though irrational collective market behavior was not confined to the octagonal pit in Chicago, the proximity of the trading posts at the New York Stock Exchange and so on, the floor was where such behavior was most clearly expressed. Bon's compatriot and contemporary, the sociologist and crowd theorist Gabriel Tard, was fascinated by financial markets and more specifically what one might term the sociology of the trading floor. Though critical of excessive speculation, which he saw as a modern-day epidemic, Tard did not express the same kind of undivided loathing for financial capitalism as Bon. His interest was more strictly scientific. To Tard, exchanges were relatively confined spaces where his ideas about the social could be studied. In Psychologie économique, a 2-volume work based on a series of lectures held at the Collège de France during the years 1900 and 1901, Tard described stock exchanges as, quote, laboratories of collective psychology. Tard was not alone in viewing the stock exchange as a collective behavior lab. American sociologist William Graham Sumner argued that, quote, the stock exchange shows the possibility of suggestion, suggestion being the intermental process by which ideas intrude on the mind unreflectively, seemingly proving, quote, the power of the crowd over the individual. To Sumner, as well as Bon, the irrational crowd was in opposition to the rational, truth-seeking yet susceptible individual. Tard did not draw this type of sharp distinction between the individual and the crowd, the rational and the irrational. To Tard, imitation, mental contagion, and the suggestion were all inescapable social facts, not just intersubjective processes occasionally manifesting as outbursts of irrational energy, obscuring otherwise orderly encounters between rational people. Proponents of the financial market, financiers, regulators, economists, highlighted and exploited this questionable distinction in their efforts to shield the market from the masses, high finance from small speculators, economic man from social man. Tard, on the other hand, ridiculed economic man, whom he saw as a heartless and asocial abstraction, and referred to supply and demand as the, quote, so-called law of the market by which people let themselves be guided. People working markets could not escape the passions, beliefs, group affiliations, and so on, shaping behavior in the stock exchange. Quote, the market is, above all, dominated by psychological influences, by intermental actions, the current of which passes through all brains at the same time, and a few spirits, who have serious reasons to be discouraged or filled with hope, spread their discouragement or confidence well beyond their group to all the groups of the stock exchange. Busy, feverish, eminently able to exercise and suffer contagions of this kind. Intermental contagion and other forms of subconscious influences were, thus, according to Tard, the driving forces in the markets. Beliefs, desires, and volitions moved people who moved markets. Quote, the peaks and troughs of values in the stock market, unlike the oscillations of a barometer, could not even remotely be explained without considering their psychological causes. A fit of hope or discouragement in the public, the propagation of a good or bad sensational story in the minds of speculators. So, even though the exchange's trading floors were neatly demarcated psychological laboratories where collective behavior had its clearest bodily expression, the psychological causes moving markets were not bound by that space. The distinction between the inside and outside of the market was not as clear-cut for Tard as it was for someone like Max Weber, who argued passionately for stricter access requirements in exchanges to prevent underqualified and emotionally susceptible small speculators from destabilizing the order of the market. Capital requirements and other entry barriers would, however, not prevent, quote, corridor conversation and sensational news from intruding on the minds of marketeers and contribute to the movement of prices. Processes of imitation and contagion would always bind and connect the market to its outside. Despite, or maybe because of their exoticism, Tard's ideas and Le Bon's as well were picked up by quite a few American social scientists in the early 20th century. The Chicago School sociologist Robert E. Park, for example, drew inspiration from Tard's theory of the social in his writings on behavior in the stock exchange in the city. Progressive sociologist and unapologetic eugenicist Edward A. Ross was a vivid reader of Tard and, much like Park, compared Tard's thoughts on the big city with social psychological dynamics of the market. Ross's Tard-inspired comparison of city and market crowds was taken directly from the lesser-known economist Edward David Jones, who in his book Economic Crises offered a lengthy discussion of the psychological phenomena of crises. The British economist Arthur Cecil Pigou borrowed the same Tard-infused analysis from Jones as Ross had done. It must be noted that both scholars properly acknowledged Jones' work, which just goes to show that Tard's unconventional ideas of the social found their way into more mainstream social science through a variety of channels. Early adopters of Austrian school neoclassical economists like William Taussig, Frank Fetter, and Irving Fisher were, despite their staunch faith in market order and rational action, also interested in crowd psychology. Fisher, another hard-nosed eugenicist, for many social scientists at the time, including Fisher and Ross, progressive economics and politics went together with eugenics, was particularly enticed by imitation theory and how imitation determined fashions in the economy. Quote, fashion is one of those potent yet illusory social forces which follow the laws of imitation so much emphasized by Tard, Le Bon, Baldwin, and other writers, Fisher writes. And he continues by stating that, quote, in whatever direction the leaders of fashion first chance to move, the crowd will follow in mad pursuit until the whole social body will be moving in that direction. Fetter had a similar perspective on the psychological factors allegedly destabilizing market values. Quote, the universal tendency to rhythm and motion, material or psychic, manifests itself in an overestimate or underestimate of rent and every other factor in value. This is emphasized by a psychological factor called the hypnotism of the crowd. Most men follow a leader in investment, as in other things. The spirit of speculation grows till it becomes almost a frenzy, and people rush towards this or that investment, throwing capitalization in some industries far out of equilibrium with that in others. The main difference between Tard and most adopters of his ideas was the latter resorted to the laws of imitation, mental contagion, and crowd mesmerism when they had to explain market anomalies, panics, crazes, frenzies, and so on. To Tard, these were basic features of the social, regardless of whether the situation was extraordinary or completely mundane. Though overly speculative at times and empirically under-substantiated most of the time, Tard's ideas about the social suggest, when applied to financial markets, intriguing questions about where the market starts and stops, who influences whom in the marketplace, and if it is at all meaningful to differentiate between individual rationality and collective whims. These types of questions reemerge today as market buzz and speculative excitement spreads through the capillaries of social media and the new digital market infrastructures, greatly expanding the reach of financial markets and the realms from which financial markets are reachable. Conclusion. While the GameStop episode probably does not herald a new era of democratized finance, people certainly are more widely exposed to finance since the advent of, quote, gamified, speculative technologies that grant almost frictionless and fun access to markets, in market information and market knowledge. This, quote, growing convergence of financialization and digitalization sheds light on, and at least to some extent, reconfigures the relationship between the market and the masses. As market access is eased and market chatter takes place across numerous virtual communities, the ways in which information spreads, virtual crowds mobilize and disperse, and affectivity prompts action in the digital space attracts more attention from market professionals, arguably marking a new reciprocity in the market's relation to the masses. Though insignificant as isolated actors, if mobilized, the speculating masses are capable of moving markets, regardless of what cause it is that unifies them. The introduction of new technological infrastructures has transformed markets time and again. Think about the stock tickers disseminating price information via telegraph wires in the latter half of the 19th century, or the introduction of the Bloomberg terminal in the 1980s, the market interface providing traders with market information and the possibility of electronic execution of trades from their computer screens. Whereas these technological innovations made professional trading and established markets more efficient, the platform technologies used for eased market access and knowledge sharing today are aiming at retail money. These are not industry streamlining technologies, but market expansion technologies. And with this expansion comes new opportunities for big data-driven investment firms to utilize the wealth of non-standard alternative data generated across this financialized digital space. The SEC's chairman, Gary Gensler, expressed concern about this in his testimony on the GameStop debacle for the House Committee on Financial Services. Quote, "It's no longer just retail investors or even humans who are following these online conversations, but institutional investors and their algorithms. Developments in machine learning, data analytics, and natural language processing have allowed sophisticated investors to monitor various forms of public communication, to see relationships between words and prices. This practice, called sentiment analysis, has picked up steam in the last couple of years, and it has grown to include online communities. With that comes the risk that nefarious actors may try to send signals to manipulate the market. This is an area for which we will continue to deepen our understanding, resources, and capabilities. Widespread and eased market access does not reduce the risk of exploitation. It enables new forms of exploitation, both completely legitimate strategic opportunities pursued in the market and the more ominous tactics that Gensler alludes to, by turning the virtual life of the masses into data points from which market edge can be discovered and exploited." And it's in that last bit there about the market edge being discovered and exploited that kind of resonated with me as this AMC GameStop meme craze for a lot of people continues to this day. And I think about all of the information on Reddit, all of the tweets, all of the YouTube videos, all of the super bullish sentiment that's pumped out there on a daily basis. I mean, it's easily 90%, 95% bullish. It's all pumped out there. It's all being analyzed, aggregated, and exploited by these, what do they say here? Big data driven investment firms. And we know that, that's the fashion. That's the new thing. That's the Citadel quantitative quant model. Data driven, big data driven, right? Automated, algorithmic, machine learning, imitating human psychology, human emotion, and therefore manipulating human psychology and emotion. So a lot of what's in this essay in terms of that stuff is kind of, it's almost like very obvious to me. It just, I never read it in anything, but it just kind of makes sense because it seems to be the way that things are. It seems to be the way that people are, the way that humans interact, right? And so when these things spread, like last year on Reddit and other social media, it's easy to get swept up in it. But it is really interesting and kind of, also this essay kind of put in perspective about, how big this thing really was. I mean, I look at it every day and I don't often think about, what a kind of a big deal it was. So that's interesting to kind of put it in this context, historical context of this guy cornering the wheat market, in the in 1899, 1897, lighter, and another thing that stood out to me about this section here was, as with most attempts to corner markets, Leiter's effects proved futile. Whether it was due to overconfidence, recklessness, greed, or simply bad timing, Leiter overstayed the market and it got away from him. I mean, and that really resonates too, because it seems like to me is that there are a lot of people overstaying the market right now. Well, why is it doing that? Weird. There's a lot of people overstaying the market when it comes to, certainly when it comes to AMC, GameStop, probably a lot of other stocks as well. But that's what happened. That's what happens when you wear out your welcome, and you used to be in control. Now you're not in control. You're at somebody else's mercy. Let's see. Magazines and newspapers reveled in Leiter's dubious and daring endeavor, and the events at the Chicago Board of Trade even became sources of inspiration for novels. Okay, so we saw that too. We saw, I don't know why it's doing that. We saw, the media pick up on this. The media picked up on it, and last year, and there were even representatives from this retail investing community on mainstream media talking about it. And it has also inspired, I don't know about novels, but it's inspired a lot of different forms of media, documentaries, movies, you name it. So, let's see. Now, talking about that wheat corner provoking a crisis in Europe. and the ramifications stretching as far as India, Argentina, India, and Russia. Now, it's interesting here because this is a worldwide phenomenon that we're experiencing in AMC and GameStop and all these things. Now, provoking a crisis, not really. However, you know, it's in an overall sense, like a shortage of food or something like that. No, but it could probably be argued that it is creating crises in a lot of individual people's lives. And we looked at examples a couple streams ago about a few tweets that we saw about you know, domestic problems being caused by this. My wife's leaving me because she thinks that I lost all of our money. She doesn't understand that they're unrealized losses. Okay, yeah, but you're down 80%. You know, those types of things. So I think that there probably are an infinite number of crises that are being caused by this kind of stuff, and it's probably at an all-time high, at least in recent years. And this is different than the financial crisis of 2007, 8, 9, because that was largely initiated. It largely was a result of Wall Street's actions and the mortgage industry's actions. Here, you have people, you know, actively getting involved in something that ultimately is going to has burnt them, or, you know, probably will. So now we get into this stuff about the demoralization of the upper strata of society. This also resonates. Obviously, it mentions that in terms of the hedge funds, right? Aggressive short selling, stuff like that. Unequal and often unequitable partition of wealth in society. The masses growing increasingly discontent and irritated with the manipulative games of these common pirates. That's, you know, that could have been, that could come out directly out of an article from Vice or something like that. Huffington Post or Insider, one of these new media companies writing about the, you know, GameStop debacle last year. Because that's exactly how it was portrayed. That's how a lot of people feel. Demoralization, and as an emblematic example of a general demoralization of the upper strata of society. I feel like that's very, you know, it's very applicable to this. But I think that, you know, I kind of disagree with the author a little bit here. He's saying that, you know, the weak corner inflamed the masses, lingering dismay with inequality exacerbating high finance. In the GameStop thing, it was the short selling that fueled animosity. But I think that it really encompasses more than that. I think it does encompass the dismay with the inequality exacerbating high finance. I think it's a general hatred against Wall Street, against, you know, what is perceived, correctly or incorrectly, as, you know, manipulative, predatory behavior, unfair, unlevel playing field, all these things that we hear and talk about all the time, which they're, you know, again, correctly or incorrectly, that's another discussion, but perception is reality sometimes. So that's what it is here. It's perceived as such. So I'm not sure why the author separated these things, the aggressive short selling, because that is essentially the same thing. It's you know, aggressive short selling is portrayed as bad for a company, and certainly is profitable for these big players who have a lot of capital to throw around and borrow shares with. So I don't really, that to me is not really that strong. But certainly the overall sentiment is. I would just include all of that. I would say, because you do hear people talk about 2008. They talk about how their parents, this and that, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. Who knows? But the reality is, yes, a lot of people did lose their homes in 2007, 8, 9 for whatever reason. Some people got into mortgages, adjustable rate mortgages, they shouldn't have been in. Other times the bank approved loans that they shouldn't have approved. Some people were completely innocent and they still got fucked. So that happens. Doesn't make it right or anything, but regardless, that got rolled into this whole narrative last year. We're going to get back at the people who fucked us over in 2008 and so on. And, needless to say now, yes, a handful of those hedge funds that were doing this type of stuff got burned, but by and large, short sellers are up. Ken Griffin is up. Citadel is up. So, this article doesn't really address the veracity of a lot of these crazes and the intermental suggestion and things like that. But we know that the more popular something is, there's a better chance. A lot of times, there's a better chance it's more nonsensical. And that's from Albert Einstein. That's an Albert Einstein quote. So, kind of anyway, let's go on here. So I always thought it was interesting too here that Roland Smith said in 1908 that corner instigators are men who ignore commercial ethics, defy trade opinion, and who endeavor to draw the public in to the market. And finally, during the excitement of the bull market, sell out and let the public hold the bag. Hold the bag. I don't know if that's the first instance of this phrase being used, hold the bag, bag holding. I'm not sure. But I didn't necessarily know that it was, that old of a term. So that was interesting. The modern day manipulator versus the scrupulous pirate, being that the financier did not force his victim to walk the plank, at least not in the literal sense. But I mean, there were certainly people who made very irrational decisions after certain financial panics that were essentially tantamount to walking the plank. So after 2008, after 1929, these types of really cataclysmic things, you did have people walking the plank. Were they forced to? Probably not. They probably weren't forced to, but still, but it's an interesting point. Okay, then it gets into this section about who were the Buccaneers in the GameStop debacle. Was it the short sellers, or was it the squeezers mobilizing on social media to run up the prices? And maybe both, maybe neither. Maybe both. Maybe each side is doing what each side does. Are short sellers really, this is a connotation here, preying on the misfortunes of ailing companies in disrupted industries? Okay, well, is that as bad as it sounds? Does it hurt the companies, actively and permanently? Or the squeezers mobilizing on social media and running up prices to ridiculous heights? Well, as Gary Gensler talked about, and he's not concerned about investors exercising their free speech. So if we have free speech online, which is an interesting thing to say too, because you don't really have free speech online in the sense that you have free speech, out in public on a sidewalk in the park, in a public place. When you're online, you are using a private company's infrastructure. You're using a private platform. As much as we want to think Twitter is a town square, it's still a privately owned, publicly traded, but privately, for-profit company, which is not subject to the First Amendment and things like that in the same way that, the government can't restrict free speech. Well, it's not the government, it's Twitter. And they can make a rule that says you're not allowed to promote stocks. That would be okay. Same thing on YouTube. And we see that kind of thing happening in Australia, as we talked about last night. So, Gary Gensler, people are exercising their free speech online. Sure, okay, whatever. But where's the line between free speech and, pumping a stock, market manipulation? Where is that line? That's the issue here. The suspicion seemed to be that someone must have led the mass of small investors on, orchestrating the concerted injection of dumb money into these seemingly hopeless firms. Well, there was someone leading the mass of small investors on. There absolutely was. If Keith Gill hadn't produced DD that he produced and amassed the following that he amassed on Reddit and YouTube and Twitter, if Keith Gill hadn't done that, would it have happened the same way? I argue no. It absolutely would not have happened the same way. Absolutely not. Because this stuff has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. You're not going to have 1 million people all coming to the same conclusion. This is exactly the thing that this author is talking about with the stuff about TARD, the intermental contagion down here, the market being dominated by psychological influences, intermental actions, the current of which passes through all brains at the same time. But it has to start somewhere. I think it has to start somewhere. And in this case, going back to this, the U.S., the suspicion seemed to be that someone must have led the mass of small investors on. There was. There absolutely most certainly was. And it, and interestingly enough, it was a member of the finance profession. It wasn't just another Reddit user. It was somebody who was in the industry and had, deep market knowledge and access and knew what to look for. And also, I would say, knew how to communicate it to others as well. So that's another weak section in this essay. It really, should have gone a little further into that thing. Also back up here where it talks about, let me find it. Talking about socialism. So there's a lot, I've touched on it here and there, the problems of capitalism. Hi, Lynn. And hi, Manny, too. I saw you there. Let's see. LeBon wrote this book, The Psychology of Socialism. He called Leiter the Napoleon of wheat, and it talks. And we talked about the corner of wheat in 1898. Okay, now, let me go. No. Okay. Smith and LeBon found the corner of wheat in Chicago unethical and graceful, Le Bon also saw it as a symbol as the unbridled greed of bourgeoisie financiers who unwittingly were pushing the masses towards socialism. While Le Bon showed the concern for the way financial speculation and the accompanying concentration of wealth might affect the masses, his worry should not be confused with sympathy for the deprived masses. So this kind of caught my attention here as I was reading it last night, because well, let me just go on here. So there's no Marxian romancing of the working class in Le Bon's work. He thought the working class was primitive, violent, destructive, and completely devoid of autonomy. It was out of fear of socialism and not solidarity with the masses that Le Bon cautioned against the unequal wealth distribution fortified by the schemes of Leiter and other illustrious financiers. So it wasn't that Le Bon was a proponent of socialism. He wasn't. He actually feared it. And he was saying that, okay, if this capitalism goes, totally unequal like this, and people are allowed to do this ridiculous speculation that causes problems halfway across the world in the food supply, it's going to drive people to support socialism. So we can't allow that to happen, yada, yada, yada. But I think today, and there's so much misunderstanding about socialism now that I don't even think I don't think that any of this stuff, although in my opinion it definitely should cause people to question the nature of our system and whether it is fundamentally right and workable and ever could be the type of utopian system that, I think the apes think it could be. But I don't think that it has really caused many people to have those discussions and thoughts. I don't know. I don't see it really. I don't see a concern for greater society in the future. I see a concern for me stocks. So it's interesting because here you have, a writer who is worried about, well, when you see the working class as being primitive, violent, destructive, and non-autonomous, then yeah, they can easily be influenced. They could easily go socialist, go to a socialist route, and that would certainly, in the eyes of the elite under this capitalist system, that would be disastrous. But it's also interesting that they said his worry should not be confused with sympathy for the deprived masses. So, with that sort of negative viewpoint of the working class, I think generally speaking, at least today's left generally holds a more respectful view of the working class, I would say. I don't know about sympathy, but it's certainly true though that there is a very primitive, violent, destructive, and non-autonomous characteristic to the working class. So, maybe there's some truth in this. Maybe it's timeless truth. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just kind of speculating and just thinking out loud there. So Leach fittingly called Le Bon, he foresaw, the polymath prophet of Western decadence. Eugene Leach called Le Bon, and that he foresaw great societal calamities associated with the increasing power of financial capitalism. One of the great problems of the future will be to find the means of escaping from the sovereign and demoralizing powers of the cosmopolitan financiers. talking about the financiers as the masters of public opinion, who seized control of newspapers and journals. And we see this continuing to this day. Elon Musk buying Twitter. Jeff Bezos buying Washington Post. Media outlets owned by oligarchs, essentially. So this is, very, not, it's only almost scary how much it just like almost is like a copy, carbon copy, just with updated technology and circumstances. To Le Bon, the problem of financial markets boiled down to an asymmetrical and unidirectional relationship between powerful financiers and the masses. So it was one way, newspapers to people. The latter group, the masses, were subjugated to the powerful financier's will, like the hypnotized is subjugated to the will of the hypnotizer. And it was a crowd psychology problem. And then the author contrasts that with today, saying the swaying of formation of public opinion is much less clear-cut than what Le Bon claimed in his accusations of financial foul play, because of the multiple online platforms in which retail investors are searching for equal parts market knowledge and an equal part of investor community. Okay, but that doesn't really seem that different to me. It's, retail investors seem to have their views on market shaped by multiple influences, not exclusively from the puppet masters of high finance. Okay. And then it gets into the part about the professional marketeers being aware of and attentive to retail investors' rationalizations and what they're doing and how that moves markets. And we talked about how the data is mined and such with that. So, but I don't, I'm not really too convinced about this section here. Exactly how to think about it. The concerted action drummed up on Reddit, Twitter, and other social media suggests a more complex collective psychology than the unilateral leader-follower dynamic presented in Le Bon's work. I agree with that, but I think that a lot of it is just due to the circumstances of the pandemic, which is not really addressed in this essay that much at all. It does mention it in terms of almost closing down all of the trading pits, open outcry trading pits, and that, but it doesn't address the fact that at this point in time, everybody had been locked down for almost a year. Everybody's pockets were full of unemployment and stimulus money. That stuff made this possible in a way that, people have been talking about stock. Wall Street Bets has been around for years. But why did this happen now? It happened now because people had the money, they had the time. And they had the money and they had the time, and it was a dark period, I would argue, in the United States, and just in general, and human, society. It was not a high period. So of course people are going to be searching for something, and they found something. So yeah, that to me probably should have been addressed in here. I'm not exactly sure how, but to me that's a critical point, that really you can talk about how this is like or not like other events in the past, but the context really is what allowed it to happen. There's no question in my mind. This would not have happened if we hadn't had all the events happen up to that point that we had happen. Probably including January 6th, actually. That really probably had something, I'm not directly, not like, oh, these people did this, so we're going to do this. But it's all part of the same dynamic. It's all part of the same, set the same circumstance, if you will. So today, the affectation dynamic between the investing masses and the market works both ways, with professional marketeers becoming increasingly aware of and to the ways in which retail investors' rationalizations and motivations move markets. Again, the only way that retail investors were able to move the market was by essentially pooling their money together and all betting on the same things. However, the only reason that was able to happen was because of all of the increased stimulus programs, unemployment, things, all the pandemic relief stuff. Without that, I would argue, there would not have been enough concentration of capital to actually do anything. So, does it work both ways? Yeah, but I think it's still mainly one way. I don't buy the democratized market theory at all, I don't think. The more I think about it, I think that is a bullshit narrative, or honestly, that is being used to manipulate. It was used to manipulate retail investors last year in June and July as AMC stock bled out. Hi, Model 3 dude. Welcome. Let's see. What do we got here from Manuel? another video about Al from Boston. Okay, we'll get there. Retail investors and rationalizations and motivations. I'm probably more on the side of the working class being what was it? Primitive, violent, destructive, and completely devoid of autonomy. I'm probably closer to that than thinking that the investing masses, actually have legitimate rationalizations and motivations to move the market, in a massive push like what we saw last year. But then, the plethora of venues for sharing views on markets, combined with ease market access through trading apps, the self-proclaimed democratizers of finance, Robinhood, as if there weren't other, as if there aren't other. Now, in terms of zero commission and all that kind of stuff, that's another discussion we've talked about a lot. Nothing is free, so you pay for it a different way. Is that really democratizing something? Shifting just changing where the fee comes from? I don't know if I buy that either. But I do very much like this characterization of contributing, a blurring of the boundaries between noise and information, expert and amateur, insider and outsider. I do like that kind of idea. So, and this, talking about the spatial logic here and going on and on about this, and also the exchange being a laboratory of collective psychology from Gabriel Tarda. So I like that idea a lot, especially this idea of the stock exchange showing the possibility of suggestion, being the intermental between brains process by which ideas intrude on the mind unreflectively. So you're not thinking about it. Proving the power of the crowd over the individual. The irrational crowd being in opposition to the rational, truth-seeking yet susceptible individual. So the crowd is irrational. The mob, the retail crowd, the dumb money group, but individually are rational, truth-seeking. They're susceptible though, but they are truth-seeking and rational. So that's Sumner, William Graham Sumner and Laban. Tarda, on the other hand, he didn't draw that type of distinction between them, and he's saying imitation, mental contagion, and suggestion were inescapable social facts, as if almost like hardwired in our brain, like a physical reflex, not in just intersubjective processes, occasionally manifesting as outbursts of irrational energy, obscuring otherwise orderly encounters between rational people. So proponents, and it goes on to say, proponents of the financial market, financiers, regulators, economists, highlighted and exploited this questionable distinction in their efforts to shield the market from the masses, high finance from small speculators, economic man from social man. Okay? So, and we see that, kind of a little bit of that shift in the 1920s, when you had increased individual speculation happening, right? It's crazy to think that there actually were individual investors, at that time. It's kind of wild, especially because when you think, okay, who had you couldn't, it was impractical to have a ticker machine. So how did you know what anything costs? You had to go through all these channels and, talk to your stockbroker. But anyway, also another thing I love about what the Tarda said here, he ridiculed economic man, whom he saw as a heartless and asocial abstraction. Okay, I like that language, but especially this. Referred to supply and demand as the, quote, so-called law of the market. The so-called law of the market by which people let themselves be guided. And I've thought about this before, more so in terms of when I've talked about technical analysis and how, and the psychological aspect, psychological basis for technical analysis is probably much stronger than the actual any type of quantitative, only quantitative basis for it. There's nothing, in other words, there's nothing special about this particular number over that number in terms of number as numbers, but even numbers, like 100, 200, 300, 400 are sometimes people refer to numbers like that, psychological levels. You hear that. And you can either fall a victim to, you can either buy into that or not. And it's kind of, one of those things that people maybe more often than not do buy into. And then, so it kind of fulfills the veracity of technical analysis, not for any, inherent reason, only because a lot of people think it is, true. So they end up trading at those levels. So that makes it true. So perception being reality again. But I love this, the so-called law of the market, supply and demand, the so-called law of the market by which people let themselves be guided. People working markets could not escape the passions, beliefs, group affiliations, so on, shaping the market, being dominated by psychological influences, intermental actions. I just like this. Serious reasons to be discouraged or filled with hope. They spread their discouragement or confidence well beyond their group to all the groups of the stock exchange, busy, feverish, eminently able to exercise and suffer contagions of this kind. So it's interesting. Subconscious influences, intermental contagion, the being the driving force in the markets. Beliefs, desires, and volitions. Beliefs, desires, volitions, hopes, dreams. These things, these intangible things, they moved people. They influenced people, and the people then moved the markets. It's just so interesting. We see this happening too. Peaks and trough, unlike the oscillations of a barometer, could not even remotely be explained without considering their psychological causes: a fit of hope of discouragement in the public, the propagation of a good or bad sensational story in the minds of speculators. Right? And we saw this last week with the market, stock market, overall markets on Wednesday, then Thursday and Friday. Wednesday contrasted with Thursday and Friday. So, Model 3 Dude says, the Robinhood model killed the fiduciary responsibility between broker and retail trader, and therein lies the big issue with the retail market. Killed the fiduciary responsibility between broker and retail trader. Can you expound on that? What do you mean? I'm curious. Go further with that. What do you like? Give me an example of what you mean with that. That's an interesting point. And we'll go with that. So it brings up the question of, what is a brokerage, first of all? And really, I mean, I'm going to go even more like stoner pothead question on this. What is a market? What is the market? Is there even does a market even exist? What is a market? What is the market? Is there a market? And does Robinhood participate in that market? Does Webull participate in that market? Are these app-based brokerages even really providing anything, like in any type of real way, I guess, to people? Now, having said that and put that out there, I mean, obviously, yes, if you hit buy on Robinhood and then you have that thing, and if the price goes up, you can hit sell and you can sell that thing and you keep the difference and you've made money. Yes, of course. But this is bringing up a whole other issue. Really what I'm trying to get at is the idea of the payment for order flow model, internalization, the market maker internalization model. Is that really a market? And I go back and forth in my head with about this, but I don't think it is. I don't really think that it is. When you have a wholesale house, essentially, that is intercepting orders and filling them out of their stock, or not even doing that, filling them, naked shorting the shares in them. And don't misunderstand me. I haven't gone ape or anything. I haven't gone ape. But, when you think about this shit and put it all together, it is kind of a, head scratcher, what the fuck moment, a little bit. So, I understand that the providing liquidity, needing to be able to sell it, blah, blah, blah. There's no physical product, so it doesn't really matter. I get all that, and I agree, but the thing is, like, I think, what Model 3 Dude is saying is, I mean, this is the way I'm interpreting it, killing the fiduciary responsibility of broker and retail trader, because the retail the investor, the trader, is not paying anything to Robinhood. Robinhood doesn't give a fuck about you, that you're not their customer. In the same way, you haven't paid them anything. You're being paid, they're being paid on your behalf by Citadel or Virtue or whoever the market maker is, right? The lack of commission meant that brokers are inline payment for order flow with no commission. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Okay, good. That's what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, is that, Robinhood and Webull and all these bullshit quote unquote brokerages, you aren't their customer. Really, Citadel is. You're placing an order through Robinhood, but they're getting paid from a third party. So therein lies the conflict of interest. who is Robinhood? Who do they have allegiance to? Who do they care about more? You or the person who's paying them? Because you're not the person who's paying them. And yes, there is an incentive to do more trades. There is an incentive to trade more because they get paid more for each trade. That's true. That's always been the case, though, because before they were getting payment for order flow, they were getting commissions out of your pocket. Lynn is saying the stock market, like any market, is a place to facilitate commerce between buyer and seller in concept anyway. Okay, that's true. It's true, right? So really all it is a place for buyers and sellers to come in together, be matched to each other, and to say, hey, I have this many available at this price. I will sell them at this price. And there's a whole list of people who are saying, I have this many, I'll sell at this price. And this guy says, I'll have this many that I'll sell at this price. And that list goes down. And then on the other side, you have people saying, oh, I'll buy this many at this price. And I'll buy this many at this price. And this guy over here will buy this many at this other price. And so when the prices match up, that's how you have transactions happen. And that's an auction. It's a double auction, really. You have an auction for sellers and you have an auction for buyers, and it's happening all at the same time, and people are matched with each other. So let me catch up on the chats here. So Lynn says more layers in transaction, less transparency to buyer. Seller doesn't need that insight. Model 3 dudes, conflict of interest. And Manny says removing the buy button for around 12 stocks was a low blow for retail investors. And, that's an interesting thing. That's a really interesting thing, because on one hand, I agree. On the other hand, businesses can close their doors. They can restrict, they say, hey, we don't have this. We can't sell you this, whatever. So I see both sides of it. And I wasn't affected personally by it, so maybe that's why I'm just kind of like less, also, and I'm not saying that anybody's suggesting that it was that, or that it would, that it wasn't, I guess I should say, but it's interesting that this actually was specifically in Robinhood's terms of service before it happened. So I found their terms of service from, I forget when it was, but it was published at some date before January 27th and 2021, and it specifically said, I did videos about it last fall, and I showed it, and I compared it to Fidelity's terms of service, which did not include this clause, by the way, about reserving the right to restrict trading in any security at any time for any reason. Now, I'm not saying that it makes it okay or anything like that, but it's just interesting. The provision was there already. Fidelity, though, and they may have changed it. This was last fall when I looked at this, but Fidelity did not have that. I looked all through it, searched with 6 ways to Sunday. I could not find the same clause. The only thing I could find was that they can restrict your account if they believe that, someone else is using your account, or that you have lost mental capacity or something to that effect, right? So if you start making a bunch of nonsensical trades and losing all of your money, they're gonna turn the spigot off so they can figure out what's going on. But they don't have a clause, at least last year they didn't, to restrict trading in any security for any reason, buying or selling. They didn't have that, which I thought was interesting. That's the effect of transparency, detrimental to buyer. And Model 3 says, with commission, they are working for you. You were the customer. Now you're the product. That's what I was trying to think of in my head. You are the product. So you're not the customer anymore. Now you're the product. It's being sold to them, or that they're profiting off of, or you're being sold to Citadel, as it were. So, and this all goes back to that question, and they still make money off the other party, probably more. And this all goes back to that question of, is this really a market? And so in terms of Lynn's definition, being a place to facilitate, the connection between buyers and sellers, conceptually, yes, it is. So, okay, fine, it's a market, but does that make it a good market, a fair market, efficient market, all of these things? Well, the other thing that, the other part of this whole payment for order flow, modern market, whatever you want to call it, there needs to be a term for this new type of whatever the market is now. Last year I called it a simulated market. A simulated market, because it's not, yes, it is. It looks like a market. It smells like a market. It kind of works like a market, but it's not truly a market, because you have people, who have physically placed their servers next to the stock exchange servers so they can get the fucking shit first. You have, all of these latency arbitrage tricks, orders being placed and canceled, all of this type of stuff, all of the high frequency trading. That was the other thing. It's high frequency trading. High frequency trading and payment for order flow, those two things have changed the market, and there needs to be a term. Maybe there is. I don't know. Markets 2.0 there for this new type of market. But I don't know what that would be. Maybe I should just coin a term, but or call it simulated market. But how could it be? You can come up with different metrics for quality. You can talk about the spread, the bid-ask spread. You can talk about whatever kind of quantitative measurement you want about, whether the quality of the market. And by all those metrics, the quality is better than it's ever been. The spreads are as tight as they've ever been. And you can buy and sell any security at any time. Somebody's ready on the other side to buy it. Even if nobody wants to buy it, they will. Now you might pay out the ass to buy it if nobody else wants to. If you want to sell it and nobody wants to buy it, you can still do that, but you're going to pay more. You're going to pay for it. You're going to get a worse price, but nonetheless you could do it. But I think the real interesting question that this paper does not really talk about, does not bridge the gap between, is the idea, okay, so let me set it up by just recalling this, the laws of imitation, mental contagion, and crowd mesmerism, right? Features of social. Stock market being dominated by psychological influences, intermental actions, right? All of these things, rumors, hopes, fears, all that stuff, right? So I'm a big believer in that. That makes a lot of sense. And we've all experienced it. But how does that jive? How do you square that with this modern market 2.0, the simulated market? How can you say that the computer, how can you say that the algorithms, how can you say that the bots, how can you say that all of this automatic trading, how can you say that is being driven by psychology? It cannot be driven by psychology. It can be driven by a simulation of psychology. It can be driven by an idea of, or a suggestion. And that, to me, is where things really start to get, Orwellian, whatever you want to call it, fucked up. Is, okay, I know that if I see, all of this selling, and I'm talking, okay, let's say it's, where high frequency trading is not a thing. It's 1970. It's 1965. And everything is done on paper. Everything is done by humans. And if there's people buying, it's because they want to buy. If there's people selling, it's because they decided to sell. Now, if you see a huge sell-off, you know that that is people selling. But Thursday, this week, why did we see what we saw on Wednesday? And I'm not trying to figure it out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care, really. But I'm just asking the questions. Why did that happen on Wednesday? Why did that happen on Thursday? Why did those things happen? Were they actually driven by man? Were they? And you know, I'm asking because I don't know. I would like to think yes. But the reality is these things are operated by for-profit private companies, including the stock exchange, including the market-making wholesalers. They haven't published their algorithms. We don't know really what the fuck they're doing. The SEC doesn't even know what they're doing. The SEC cannot actually monitor that activity. They don't have the technology. And that, if you think about it, that makes sense. Of course, the business that's making the fuck ton of money from it will have the ability to have the best, the best, right? So, there's an interview with Ken Griffin. I think it's with Ken Griffin or with somebody from Citadel, and they talk about how their algorithms, and this is on the market making side, are designed to imitate human emotions, designed to manipulate. I don't think they use the term manipulate, but I'm sure that some of you know what I'm talking about, know that interview that I'm talking about, where they talk about, and I think it's Ken Griffin, talks about how that, they've tried to model the human, psychological process when it comes to investing and blah, 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 right? And, okay, right. But, again, I just, is that really possible? Okay, it is Ken. It is Ken. So let's see here. Crypto sell-off equals shorts getting ready to file Chapter 11. And that's a problem. What's I'm not sure what that's referring to, what the Model 3 dude's problem, but Lynn's humans plus computers plus finance equals event horizon destruction level red. And that's, kind of what happened in 1987. It's what happened during the flash crash of 20, whatever that was, when these technologies were more primitive, and now they're refined because all the money they've made by using them, and it very well could be, and it probably is the case that it does improve everything. I think there's maybe a PR problem or something then, that in the fact that it's what it seems, and there's certainly I don't think that there's a dispute to the fact that latency arbitrage seems like it's cheating. I'm just gonna say it seems like it is cheating. You're literally squeezing milliseconds, nanoseconds out of information that's moving from here to there across the country, so you can get in front of my order, get in front of the order, and make it favorable to you. That seems like it's cheating. It just does. And especially when you read Flash Boys or listen to any interviews with Michael Lewis, these guys didn't know about this. They had they had to figure it out back in the early 2010s. So, that's another part of that's missing from this essay. But I mean, I think it's all in all, I think it's an okay essay. I think it's fairly obvious, a lot of it, and I don't think it really says anything. I didn't learn anything from this. I thought that the historical anecdotes were interesting, and I am interested in like market history and stuff. So that was interesting. I didn't know about Leiter and the wheat corner from 1898. And I'm certainly going to look more into that and, separately. But I'm not really sure what the call to action here is. And I think it misses major parts of both the current market structure and the the current events and times of last year that led to this happening. I think it misses the mark on those two things. But anyway. So that's that. But I did think it was interesting because at the end of the day, what he's saying is this is nothing new. I mean, let me just boil it down to, an easy phrase. This is not anything new. This is nothing new. People have been manipulated. Markets have been manipulated. People lose their money, all the time. And there's no, you don't get a prize for losing. And even people who are successful in manipulating the markets and making a lot of money, at least historically, I don't think this is going to happen with Ken Griffin because he has a technological advantage. But people like, Jesse Livermore, other people who made a lot of money in the, 1920s and stuff, a lot of them died penniless. They lost it all. So William Gann, different people. So to understand the future, you must know the past. I agree. And I've always been interested in history and a student of history. And, I like to put things in context. So nothing is existing for the first time. And what was I watching earlier? It's talking about 1% of the population actually can create something, like actually can have original thoughts, and even a lot of those are recycled, re-put together, ideas from previous things, just rearranged. Now, I don't know if I don't know I forget. I was watching a video on this earlier. But anyway, what they don't want is a well-informed populace capable of critical thinking, from George Carlin. And so much wisdom from those stand-up comedy. It almost seems sacrilegious to call it stand-up comedy, but I mean, that's what it was. But I mean, that was formative stuff for me when I was a teenager, listening to George Carlin talk about religion and the government, and stupid people and all this stuff, so much truth. But at the end of the day, let me just say this. I think that there is, I don't know how to put this because I do like finance and I like the stock market. And, I know at least, at an intermediate level, kind of how things work and how to trade. And, I can make money and I can lose money too, but I can, I can somehow end up being, on the right side of things. But at the end of the day, it is bullshit. Like, there is a large component of bullshit that exists. And that's always been, it probably always will be. I just look past it. I don't care. I know the market is probably manipulated in ways that I don't even understand or know about, but I don't care. Because what am I going to do about it? I can't do anything about it. The only thing I can do about it is either participate or not participate. Those are the choices I have. Or I guess go set myself on fire in front of the SEC or something. But, that's not going to do any good. Although, if Joey wants to try doing that, maybe you could try it for us and see. Maybe that'll be it. Take one of those inflatable apes with you. But in all seriousness, though, and I guess some days, it was just like, this is so stupid. How is this? There's no way this is real. There is no way that this actually means something. But yet it does. It does, though, because my numbers went down. And you can be sure that somebody else's numbers went up, And the question is, is it, I guess, is it fair? And the answer to that is no, it's not fair. It's not supposed to be fair. It doesn't have to be fair. But is that fairness, is that unfairness a result of, actions by the participant? In other words, did you just buy the wrong thing at the wrong time? That's what I mean by that. Or is it induced by the market itself? And by that I mean the structure of the market, the fact that some fucking cunt in Chicago is front running your shit and they know about it before somebody else and all this fucking bullshit like that. Is the unfairness, the tilt of the playing field, is it because people are stupid or Wall Street is smart and has cheated? And that's the fundamental question that I struggle with, because I think it's both. I think it's absolutely both. I think I'm an idiot a lot of the time. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I make the same mistakes over and over. And I could kill myself. Not really, but, I could. Why did I do that? And oh my God, I've just used my third day trade. You want to talk about, unlevel playing field. I just used my third day trade and I'm stuck in a position and I'm watching it bleed out and I can't even close the position. Are you kidding me? That is a guaranteed, that pattern day trading rule is, if there's one thing the apes, and somebody said this in one of my live streams a while ago, I think it was bad back. If the apes actually had any bit, had evolved at all from a fucking primate, they would have gone after the PDT rule. That is that is something that could be changed. Absolutely could be changed. It could go hand in hand with reducing the settlement period, having instantaneous settlement. That's what they should have gone after instead of this bullshit. Oh God, naked shorts. Oh, I don't understand FTDs. Go after PDT. And yeah, I don't do forex. And at futures, you might as well just trade in a brokerage account. You're not going to trade futures for in a small account, really. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into it, but I'm talking about small accounts, $2,000 or less. And I think that you can, and I've done well in small accounts. I mean, I don't think that, if you're trading options, it helps to have more money. It's hard to trade options in a small account. There's no question about that. But if you're trying, to like take profits at, small percentages and roll up, roll your account up. I mean, you can do it, but it takes forever. It's going to take you forever. And what's the problem there with that? I don't really understand. You could go in a cash account. That's the way around it, I guess. But you're still waiting for settlement. You're still waiting for settlement. So, I mean, I think that's something, nobody talks about PDT. It's just assumed. It's just something it is what it is, I guess. But I think the ape should have gone after that, because it's something that would actually change material. It would change the reality for investors and traders. And if for no other reason, it would allow you to get out of a losing position. I mean, hell, okay, let's compromise. Keep PDT, but allow position closing. Allow people to fucking close their positions so they don't lose 100% of their money. I mean, you know, and make the brokerage liable for, make the brokerage cover, you know, we can't do instantaneous settlement. Okay, fine, whatever, because your computers are fucking shit. Because Citadel has the good computers, right? Okay. But the DTC, they're all private companies. They're not government organizations. So I don't really know, but you know, yeah, the New York Stock Exchange doesn't want to invest in the fucking technology because they're irrelevant now, basically. Most of the volume is done off exchange. But at least allow people to close their positions, and if there needs to be some collateral, make the fucking brokerage cover it. Make the brokerage cover it. They're the ones that are getting paid all the money from the goddamn market maker anyway. So yeah, I don't really, you know, it's. They say that originated from the settlement period, but then they also say it's to protect investors from losing their money, which makes no sense because, you know, more often than not, you get trapped in a position, and especially with options, it's just a fucking disaster. It is so bad. You guys know. But anyway, but yeah, no, the other thing the apes, you know, really should have done, is they should have just fucking cut their losses and left. You know, that would have been the best thing to do. Because that removes your money from the market. That's the only way to ensure that these fucking cunts won't get your money. If you think that they're indeed, you know, a bunch of twats. But whatever. If you don't want them to take your money, then don't give it to them, you know? So that's ultimately the thing. And that's why I go back and forth in my head. I'm like, do I even want to do this now this week? Do I even think, because I got shit to do. I'm at work. I don't have time to watch the goddamn market 100% of the time between 9:30 and 4. And there's a lot can fucking happen these days in 5 minutes. Oh, it's all good. I'm going to go into this meeting and, you know, I'll look at my account when I come out, and I look at my account when I come out, and it's like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? Like, wow. Yeah. This shit, oh man. So it's really nerve-wracking sometimes, as you guys know, I'm sure. But, and that's a personal question for me. Do I really want to mess with this? Do I have the patience? I don't know. Friday, was it Friday or Thursday? Friday, yeah. I had a horrible migraine headache most of the day. And, you know, and the market was doing what it did. And it was just miserable. And I was just like, why am I, like, I want to just cut my losses here, but, you know, what if it turns around and it goes the other way? Because it probably will, because that's what it does every time, you know? I'm like, oh, no, it's not going to do, I know it's going to, and it does the exact opposite. Well, of course, Friday it didn't, and I could have definitely cut things off and, you know, whatever. But it was just one of those times. It was like, wow. I you know, this is ridiculous. So the answer there is like, don't do it, you know, and that's right. You know, it's emotional, and you know, usually I'm pretty good about it. I'm pretty good about that. I try to be good about that. Actually, I don't. Normally I take the, I don't, you know, whatever, fuck it. I don't, you know, I don't care attitude, because any account that I'm messing with during the day is all, it's all, you know, just like YOLO, highly speculative, you know, quote unquote extra money type thing. So I mean, I'm not going to lose more than I can afford to lose. So it's, you know, my time to my opportunity to, you know, play around a little bit and you know, try to like, you know, get better and all that stuff. And So at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, that account could go to zero and it wouldn't make any difference. Now, I don't want it to, but the approach is kind of like, fuck it. I'm not gonna let this get me down. I'm not gonna like go out, run around the office if I, really did well in a position. It's just, trying to be unemotional. So yeah, it's a good point. And if you feel that, emotional scale, starting to increase, then that's good feedback. That's what emotions are. They are a feedback system that is built into us. And I wish that more people understood this or thought about it this way, I guess. But emotions exist for reasons. And we would be wise to listen to them and change our behavior based on them sometimes. And man, in the market, in the marketplace, emotion, it's like you put a big sign on your back saying, fuck me, when you go around with emotions like that. And it's like, it's so obvious to an outsider, right? You can see that from a mile away. And you see it, you can see it so clearly over here on this AMC stock subreddit and groups like this. It's just like you are the epitome. You are like the stereotype poster child for emotional investing, for uninformed investing. It's crazy. Okay. Manuel sent this, and let's look at this. By the way, also, before I do that, I don't know if you guys saw, but well, hang on here. Let's get to this. So, okay, we are at 593 subscribers now. But the thing is, and Lynn says, market looked at crypto and said, I can do that, but better. What, a crash? We now have a community tab, an active community tab that works. I can post things here. Where's my cut? There you go. Lynn's response. But the community tab, I don't know why exactly, but I noticed it today. 590. It was 591, and then I went to hit this thing to upload the video earlier, and I saw it said create post. So that's new. That happened between yesterday and today. Weird. I don't know. I heard that it was like 500 or 600 subscribers threshold for community tab. To have the community tab. I don't know which one it is because I had 500 for a while and I didn't have it, and I don't have 600, so I don't know. Who knows? Google, what are you going to do? But anyway, let's go with this here. Sound set up here. So this, what is this? Oh, this is Commander. Okay.
This shirt smells like a familiar face. So, what's up with this collective obsession with Al from Boston? This is like the new thing going around town, the AMC community now.
Let me pause it here and let it load. This shirt smells like a familiar face. That's weird. It's a weird thing to say, my friend. What a weirdo. And, I mean, yeah. All right.
Now, everybody is so suddenly obsessed with the reemergence of Al from Boston. They're all making all these videos about him. Teddy Zane, the juice monkey, of course, fucking John Cuckwick. Saw that one coming.
John Cuckwick.
This is what you do.
That's obvious. I can't believe I forget that.
They don't have any content left, they gotta find a reason or a good talking point, a controversial one particularly. They love those. So what do you know? Al from Boston, that's the perfect lineup. Their next, like, 30 seconds of fame or view seeking adventures, even though really it's only racking in a couple thousand views, not even per video about this topic. So these people are all like chasing that money, chasing the bag for like $20, not even.
Oh my God.
Even less than, probably like $15 a video.
Wow. 60 frames though, that's why. This shit doesn't need to be 60 frames. You see the quality of this video anyway? There we go. Jesus Christ. All right.
Talking about this. I mean, I'm just being real with you guys. Like, so tell me, John Wick sniping, what purpose does this serve? When I thought you were the guy that was like, oh no, beefing is unnecessary, trying to put down other YouTubers and spreading negativity. This seems a bit hypocritical, guy. Like, you're fighting with Ape Father, making 20 videos about him one day, and now it's Al from Boston. Before it was Lou, 1 minute you're sucking Lou's cock, the next minute you're making videos against him. Like, what is it?
Okay, I want to say this. I definitely do not want this guy to be on my bad side. I don't want to be on this guy's bad side. But I've definitely, spoken my mind about him before, and I will again. But let me say this. I don't discriminate. I never have discriminated against anybody. I'll call them all out, which you all know that. But yeah, when high-speed internet. Well, when MOAS, Manny, whenever this goddamn thing squeezes, and I'm talking about BBIG here, BBIG. I'm sorry, Wish. I'm still in Wish. Oh man, Wish is gonna squeeze. Sundial. I've spent all my money on a sundial, man. Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Isn't he making a video about the same damn thing? He's criticizing people who are criticizing other people. And I'm making a video about a guy, or I'm talking on a video about a guy who's criticizing a guy who's making a video criticizing another guy. So that's what we do. That's YouTube. That's this community. That's, hey, that's psychology, man. That's the way it works. But it is entertaining, though.
You really have a problem with Al from Boston saying 1 million per share, even though he said that for months and months? Like, you just haven't caught on to that. Like, you're just catching on to that now. His opinion about what's going to happen, whether that's true or not, is irrelevant to me, honestly. But the point is, this motherfucker has been saying that since before he deleted his account on his previous fucking thing, before that whole, whatever, the fucking monument.
Sexual harassment claims.
You already know, but so tell me, everybody out there, literally, what is this? It's back and forth, Mr. Wiki. What's going on, buddy? 1 minute you hate him, 1 minute you love him, next minute, what is it? You like fighting? You like division? You like unity? Which is it, pal? Pick a side, man. Pick a side, because you're making yourself look very sus to a lot of people, and this is why your views have been rapidly declining. Tanking, because people are done with your bullshit ideas.
All right, well, you know what that means. We have to look. We have to look on Social Blade and see. That's what we should do one night. Just look at all of this. Make a tiled window here with like all different small windows in it, and look at all these guys' numbers and see how they're doing, or make a composite graph or something. Pull the data and put it into Excel and see. But feedback loop of criticism. Interesting. Yep. Oh, yeah. So that's monthly gain views. Let's look at the detailed stats. Weekly subscribers gained, so he's back on an uptrend here. And I also want to be able to do, I want this in candlestick format. I want to be able to put indicators on this. I want to see the simple moving averages. I want to see the stochastic. I want to see the MACD. I want to be able to analyze this data quantitatively like that. I think that would be cool. If nothing else, it'd be funny to see it that way. And it's totally possible. Just need to be able to pull it down in Excel. Total subscribers. Total views. Obviously the views are going up, but so, you know, locally, yeah, this is kind of a local downtrend here. So he's not wrong about that. We also have this. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at this joker. God, look at this joker. Oh, wow. Look, good job. Good job, man. Somebody hacked it. Somebody hacked my social blade. Somebody hacked it. I'm okay with that, though. I'm okay with this. This is, you know, I'll take linear growth. I don't need, although this might be going parabolic here. Is it going parabolic? We might be going parabolic. I don't know. But, so, yeah, Manuel's Team Commander 35. The Hall of Grifters. That's the Hall of Grifters right there. That is it. And I don't think I have him on here because, again, I don't want anybody showing up at my house. I don't think there's any way that anybody's going to find that out, but, you know, you never know. But, you know, if I had to pick, I'd probably say I'm Team Commander 2. Just because he's more entertaining, I guess. Although, you know, that the videos that promoting violence I'm not really into, but I will agree that JWS does suck.
They're done with
not
the
dispute
freaking,
that.
You know, flip-floppity, contradictory fucking hypocrisy, like wiggly-sliggly bullshit, man. Like I said before, you are the Ape Father's son in the flesh. Like, and freaking Teddy Zane, thought that guy wasn't even a freaking AMC YouTuber anymore. The AMC is just a swing trade to them, right? What?
Well, you know, Lynn, that's why if I had my prop bet platform that I've wanted to do now for months, we could do that. We could absolutely do that. We could have legalized betting on anything. You know, create our own market. Fuck this market. I want to create a market based on how many subscribers will Scott have next week. Futures contracts for subscribers on YouTube, views on YouTube. Who's going to, you know, what's the next, anything. It would be great. I would love that. You know, I looked into it. I went down the rabbit hole to try to find something. I couldn't find anything. I came to the conclusion that it would have to be developed from scratch, which I can't do. It would, you know, I have to learn how to do it and all this, you know, and that's not practical at this point. Now, if I had thought about this last year, last summer, over the last 2 years, when I had a lot more free time, then maybe I could have made something happen. I could probably be in a totally different career trajectory right now, or independently wealthy from my prop bets. But alas, you know, I didn't. I started a YouTube channel instead. Silly thing to do. But yeah, I mean, it would be great fun.
What's the point of somebody like that making a video about Al from Boston? Like, this is kind of like, you know, an AMC-centric kind of situation, right? What the fuck are you doing, Juicehead? What the fuck is that shit? But anyways, I'm not even going to get into that. I just wanted to pop in and call bullshit on, of course, John Wick. And I got this Clover Hill Bear Claw Danish cherry cheese flavored. I want to test it out real quick. You know, take a couple bites. I'm not going to eat the whole thing because I don't want to be a disgusting fucking animal, you know?
Let me know what you think. I bet Richie's tried this, but if you haven't, Rich, let me know what you think.
Not bad. Nothing great. It's like $1. Or I think it was like 99 cents.
Wow. Inflation hasn't hit that shit yet, has it?
With my mouth closed. Be respectful, unlike Ape Father. Anyways, the only reason these motherfuckers are talking about Al from Boston is for their own self-interest, their own needs. There is no reason. This motherfucker has been saying $1 million.
Well, yeah, okay. I'll let him continue his thought here.
Per share and all that shit for months. So this is not news to anybody, and this isn't that shocking. People have been saying they believe it's going to 100K, 500K, $1 million. People, even without Al from Boston being here, people are still saying that shit. So what the fuck is the circus? What's the point of it, fuckfaces? There is no point other than you trying to chase views and clout as per usual. It's the same shit, man. Fucking pathetic trash. The channel.
Yeah, it is. It all is. You know, it all is. And that is the reason. And that's his reason, too. And at the end of the day, I guess it's my reason as well. But the difference is, you know, these guys are all saying the same damn thing. And, you know, right, we're not. That's it. Yeah, we're not. We're not saying that. So,
Channel's fucking ass, Johnny boy. Fuck all of you.
I mean, he kind of had something with the calling the brokers thing. That was a little bit unique, but he did it the wrong way. He made it, you know, he went about it the wrong way. Now, you could have done that the right way, and you know, gotten permission or done the interview off camera, you know, and then talked about what they said, and or you know, there are ways to do that without really, you know, crossing the line. And then, you know, and then his channel just became just a, you know, another generic AMC pumper channel, basically. Although he did put up a video earlier, which is weird. I mean, all of his videos are, but maybe we'll look at that one. But I mean, I think it was just straight parody or satire. But it's kind of hard to tell what he thinks anymore. I don't know.
This is the kind of motherfucker that would, like, sell his soul to get that interview with Charles Payne. Like, he would literally fucking sell his grandma, his mama, his siblings, his girlfriend, all that shit, just to get on there for 30 seconds, just to get cut off mid-sentence and get kicked off the show. He would,
that old guy that he takes care of, that he makes all of his videos from the old guy's house.
Would do it all for that. He also kind of gives up the vibe like he's a snitch, like he would sell you out to the cops real quick. Don't trust him with your secrets. Don't even trust him with cash. Don't even... That little weasel looks like he'd fucking keep your money and run, never pay you back. That's exactly what he looks like. You know it's true. So what's good, you 40-year-old washout? You want to keep making videos about YouTubers that nobody gives a shit about to try to bring in views?
Hey, now, I'm almost 40, so watch it, buddy.
Like, are you going to pick a side? Are you going to, like, go to the light, the path of the light, the good and all great? Or are you going to keep going down, back and forth, flip-flopping into this? I'm going to talk shit about this YouTuber, so that way it'll get me more subs and views, because your channel is tanking pretty hard. So until, like, you mention other YouTubers and start beef, your channel is nothing, because, like, literally, because you have no content. You have no DD, nothing. You don't even believe the DD matters anymore. So what is it, Johnny? Like, are you really that desperate for content? Because that's what it looks like. I'll let you guys decide. You let Johnny know what you think.
Oh. Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. So, comments down there saying that Al gives informative, you know, gives good information, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I have to disagree with that. Obviously disagree with that. I think I did 2 or 3 videos basically totally ripping apart what he was saying. You know, basic errors like share recalls and all that stuff, and, you know, whatever. He's just another AMC YouTuber. Speaking of AMC YouTubers, here's one that's, you know, different. This guy's different here. Chris Norland. Pretty high production value on his videos too. That's, you know, good.
Hey everyone, this is Chris. Welcome to the channel. So I hope you grow your account and grow your mind. So we're here to see Doctor Strange at an AMC theater, and in fact, I really like the AMC theaters. I go to these all the time. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a great stock, but I do like the theaters. And I challenge you to, any YouTubers out there making AMC videos all the time, to actually go to an AMC theater and prove that you actually like AMC. Most of these people, though, don't care about AMC, and more importantly, they don't care about you and are lying to you always about the stock. But me, I actually like AMC theaters. I go to these all the time.
You've got me saying words in my head, filling my mind with these images, and it's the way that you look at me, makes me feel like I can't.
All right, talk about this. Talk about it now. Making me want to do some acid here.
So we just came out of the theater, and I mean, the movie was okay. If you like Marvel movies, you'll probably like the Doctor Strange movie. There's a lot of surprises in there. I'm not going to ruin anything for the movie in case you guys are worried. And if you want me to make a separate video about Doctor Strange, please write in the comments. So let's get back to the stock. Actually, I traded AMC a little bit this morning, shorted in the morning, made some money in AMC, so thank you very much. And then got out, covered my shorts, but I checked a little bit during the movie. I think you're trading under $14. It's like 13.5 or something of that nature. Here's the deal. The top of AMC was 72. It's never going to get back to that. I repeat, it's never going to go back to 72. This is what you understand is during that time, there was a lot of international interest in the stock market. There was also international interest in GameStop, and people are like, oh my God, look at this GameStop thing, I want to get on that. But they looked at the price of like GameStop over $100 and like, nah, I don't know. And AMC at that time was trading like $10, $20, and it seemed more reasonable. So all these people jumped into AMC. It was fun for about a week or so, right? Ran up to 70, and then has come back down. That was a year ago, and it's over. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people on YouTube that just keep pumping you these dreams of a dead stock that keeps going down. And you're talking about a company, and like I said, I like AMC. I'm at an AMC theater, as you can see, we see movies here, but it's just not a profitable business these days. You know, it's kind of like back in the day, we used to go to drive-in movie theaters, right? And I promise you, if you ask people back, you know, in the 1950s, do you think drive-in movie theaters would ever fail? They'd be like, oh no, of course not. Drive-in movie theaters everyone goes to, they're going to be successful forever, right? And then, you know, fast forward and you ask someone, you know, do you think Blockbuster Video would ever fail? And people are like, no, Blockbuster Video is awesome. I love Blockbuster Video. It's never going to fail, right? And then, you know, now we're at AMC, and you're like, do you think AMC is going to fail? And there'll be people out there, no, it's never going to fail. But, you know, it's just not a profitable business. Now, it doesn't mean we won't have movie theaters in the future. We probably still will. And there is actually a possibility that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, he says that. I don't mean this as a negative criticism, but he says the same thing. He's going to say the same thing he always says. but you know, and it's true. It's good information. But you know, we know all this stuff already. You know, Chris mentioned volume, that old chestnut, and I have something on that actually. So I think it was on this video that I put up earlier here. I get this comment here from the one. I think the point was that the executive order removed the collateral needed to hold short positions, and they were caught sleeping at the wheel. There will be no volume in AMC and GME because we bought all, not literally, but figuratively, the shares. Adam Aron has stated when removing ETFs who must hold their stock, retail owns more than 90%, and just BlackRock and Vanguard own almost 90 million alone. No need to buy. Wait for collateral to become worthless. Wait for bonds to start losing more value, and wait for housing market to slow, which it is as already started by net new mortgage applications are down significantly and rate hikes. They will cover their short position, real or synthetic. I do agree that it won't happen on June 3rd, but it's just another catalyst of the mixed bag we already have. No need to buy. Wait for collateral to become worthless. Wait for bonds, housing market. They will cover their short position, real or synthetic. So this is this kind of, to my mind, this was, you know, this was interesting, and that's what he even said. and this is going to be, you know, that I actually have not seen his response to my response yet, so this is new for me. But I said no need to buy. It's a new one for me. There isn't any proof, and this is true, that I've seen or was part of any of the DD posted on the Catalyst, that the entities shorting AMC were or are using Chinese military industrial complex securities as collateral. So that's the big first assumption. Second assumption is those entities would actually allow themselves to become negligent in replacing that forbidden collateral, such it would allow the positions to become serious liabilities. And finally, the price of AMC has declined nearly 50% since January of this year and roughly 80% since last June's peak. That makes short positions massively profitable. And he says, okay, I don't want to argue, but number one, why is AMC stock the number one stock with fails to deliver for the entire year of 2021? That's fact, not opinion. Okay? Which means they cannot locate shares to buy. That is the definition of a fail to deliver. This would also contribute to the price going down, as I do not buy shares as a hedge calls in the money. I've talked about FTDs before. Do we really need to go over it again? Most people don't understand how the FTD numbers are reported. Number two, why does AMC, the top stock for short exempt volume, also shows that the price is declining because there's a focus on driving the stock down intentionally? Short exempt volume is meaningless. It means nothing. You know, you're talking about first of all, you're talking about short volume, which is not short selling volume. So this is, you know, and then the short exempt volume, you know, is just a subset of that. Shorting is absolutely profitable. These guys are not stupid, but there is, wow, he used the wrong there also. He used the wrong there up here, and then the opposite wrong there up here. But there is an inverse, and that is they will have to cover these shorted shares, and you will see the price rise then. Now to your points. No evidence of the companies shorting meme stocks were indeed using Chinese bonds. You haven't provided any evidence that they were not. I'll go do my DD to see if I can find it. Okay, so the onus of proof is on the person asserting the fucking point. There's no evidence to support it. So you want me to go find evidence that refutes it? That's not how logic works. Two, they weren't negligent. Our serious Melvin Capital and Archegos were completely negligent. January should have never happened. Market makers control the price. Having heavy volume and call options with Gamma don't matter if I ruin your buy orders to the dark pools and blocks, and I don't post on the lit exchange, thus not driving up the price. I don't drive up the price, then call options don't go in the money. The real argument is, can market makers control the price, yes or no? If yes, then it's negligence because it should have never happened. If no, then explain how AMC had massive volume of June last year and the price went down, 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 and the buy order to sell order ratio is clearly on the buy side. You could even see it. You can see it in every major brokerage. Volume doesn't mean anything. If I can manipulate the price based on legal factors, I can do. Okay, well, you know, hold it. Are you suggesting that dark pools are not a place where institutions conduct their fuckery against retail investors? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the dark pool that everybody's bitching about is the one that you literally go in. Oops. The one that, off exchange. You're talking about, come on. Off exchange, ADF on anyway. But yeah, I mean, this is all the same stuff. Prove to me, prove the negative. No, it's not how it works. You prove the point. Prove your assertion first. Short exempt volume is irrelevant. You haven't provided any evidence that they were not. I mean, that's great. I love that. That's fantastic. Run buy orders through the dark pools in blocks. Yeah, I don't know about that because I've bought and sold stocks on payment for order flow brokerages, and then I went over. I literally watched on Fidelity on the time and sales, and I saw the orders, the exact order, the exact timestamp, the exact quantity posted. So no, they don't. I don't think that they really do this, but and they're talking about options, whatever. The real argument is, can the market maker control the price? And I mean, I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest with you, because the market makers are just doing what you want. What you want to buy it, okay, they're gonna they'll sell it to you. If you want to sell it, they'll buy it from you. AMC had massive volume June of last year, and the price went down. I mean, the buy to sell ratio is clear on the buy side. I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's true. I really don't. I don't have Thinkorswim open, and I'm not going to open it for this, but let's see what we can do here. But it's just like, and like I said, I think before, let's just do June through July, and then I'll change this volume profile to one row, and then we can see the total. And what does it say here? We got to get it to show the labels. Values. Yeah, see, that's not obviously not right. What did I do? Oh, because I did this year. Duh. Come on, Scott. I'm like, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. Okay, here we go. There we go. Is that right? Starting June through July. Yeah. It actually is. It's 3.37 billion up and 3 billion down volume. But the thing is, the price actually is up. It's up over those 2 months. So, yeah, it actually is up over those 2 months. It's up 20% from 31 to 37. So, I mean, I don't know. These people they don't actually look at anything. Yeah, that over the months of June, from June 1st through July 30th, the price of AMC was up. And there's more buying volume than selling volume. That totally jives. Like, what is the fucking problem? Like, what is your beef then? The beef is you just think it should be higher. You just think because, everybody's buying, nobody's selling. Bull fucking shit. Come on. And also, very concerning here is when you look at this volume. Let me put the label back on, actually. And you see this, we're still in June and July, and you see like these 300 million, 262 million, 300 million, 297 million, 271 million of buy volume at these price levels. And especially up here, 7 million at the highest, 7 million, 20 million, 35 million, 81 million, all up here at the highest levels of buying. That's wild. I mean, are those people still who the hell are those people? And are they still holding AMC? Because holy shit, you bought at the top. Crazy. But anyway, why did the price go down? Where is it? June of last. Well, maybe we should just look at June. Maybe just June. I think it was up from June too, through June as well. Oh yeah. I mean, it went down from this peak, but I mean, no. Price was up in June. See, this is the thing. These people are so inept. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this. But they're so wrong about everything that they don't even get the basics right. Was AMC up in June or down? Was it up or down in fucking June? Well, guess what? It was up, and guess what? There was more buy volume. So, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, this is like, you shouldn't be playing around in the stock market if you literally are not capable of seeing that this right here is up. That's up. June it went up 77 fucking %. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? This is why this right here is why. This is why. This is it. That's basic. That's basic. I mean, I'm going to reply to that comment eventually. But yeah, talking about volume though, yes. The volume ain't there. It's not going to be there. That money's not there. We know this. So, yeah, wild. All right. Got to be some good shit on Reddit today. I did pull a couple of them up here earlier. The dark pool numbers on AMC are wild. For every 100 trades, either Citadel or Virtu makes at least one is AMC, implying that they treat the stock similar to a mega market cap issue. Okay. Oh, all right. I mean, they treat it like a mega market cap issue. I mean, they trade what people send them to trade, so I don't see what the deal is there. MOAS will happen at a convenient time for them, when they at the top can profit from MOAS without it affecting their other portfolios. They will let it rip. After they have bailed out Kenny's clients, they will open the floodgates. After the market crashes on their timing, they will release the floodgates. I don't see more what's happening until summertime, and here's why. Blah 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 blah. It sucks, man, but these people aren't waking up. How is this possible? These people aren't fucking waking up. They're just digging their heels in deeper. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. As a reminder, hedge funds are the vultures of society. Vultures of society. Oh, man. Wow. Oh, man. Are they serious? They are a bunch of stupid fucks. Oh, yeah, I saw the Wedbush downgraded AMC to, I think, $5.50 today, or recently. I may be getting fired, so can we MOAS soon? Started my dream job at the beginning of the year working for a friend of 20 years. Job is great. Customers are cool. Hours are good too. The only problem is the owner doesn't know how to talk to employees. Customer is the best, but if an employee makes a mistake, he will ride your ass. Today was my day off, but it was a big sale day, and I offered to come in. What? TLDR. Version, I made mistake. He made comment. I walked off the floor, and I may not have a job. Please, MOAS. Please, MOAS. Please, please, MOAS. Please, so I don't have to get another job. Please, come on. It's pocket change to you guys. Come on. Margin Call. The movie. Any good? Worth a watch? Trying to get hyped and informed. No, the one you want to watch is The Big Short. We both saved the company. It's a two-way street. Ape saved the company through the market, but the company worked hard to keep AMC profitable so we can have a MOAS. One wouldn't exist without the other. Yeah, the company worked real hard. Company worked real hard. Is the lag mine? I don't know. Hold on, let me see. No, I don't. I'm not getting a lag, but I just checked my stream. Here it is. I need the AMC price to go up, like, very soon. I'm checking price, and it is lower. Every hour, check price, lower. I have overinvested by a lot. It is what it is, but I need the price to go up already. Can you make the price go up? Oh, man. Uh-oh. Genuine question. Please don't shill me. Wouldn't the brokers of any sort not be able to sell shares if the float is already bought up? I'm lurking here all the time and have never seen or heard of this being asked. Why are shares still available to be bought if the float is owned? And who is responsible for watching such activity? Well, my friend, Strutting Tom 8040, yes, that has been asked here before. Okay, it's been asked a lot, actually. So you just haven't been paying attention. That's your first mistake. Second mistake is being on the AMC stock subreddit, because that's where you get uninformed. But you know, the answer is always, the secret ingredient is crime. Of course, I'm actually kind of scared to click on this here. I know it's going to be, though. And the answer to this question is why we're all here. Dude, you never know in the sun what is real anymore. I swear the downvoting already has to be an automatic thing from hedgies that goes against the narrative. But hell, anymore everyone thinks everyone is a shill. Mine are DRS, and even that has me nervous. Oh boy, these people, there's no way that these people are getting any goddamn sleep at all at night. Sitting there worried about their AMC shares, sitting in a computer share account in Australia. Oh my God. Yeah, but the answer is obviously the float is not already bought up. It's not. And that's clear. It's clear as mud. And there was a comment there that talked about naked shorting. I just didn't want to read it because I can only lose so many brain cells at once. I do have to work Monday. Oh, this was a good one too. What I love about the AMC community right now, the difference between a movement and a cult, and this is great. From Illustrious Drink 127. Boy, that sounds like a real person. Illustrious Drink 127. A cult does not question leadership, but follows blindly, acting like the leader is a god, and every single decision being made is an act of generosity and selflessness to better further the cause. A movement questions everything and makes decisions upon one's self-benefit and the community. What's my point? Other stonks follow blindly and act like everything is a cryptic message, Jimmy, and their leadership is a savior who does not make mistakes or has flaws. Adam Aron. Oh, wait a minute, no. Brian Cohen. AMC community knows our leadership is human, and we follow the movement because we believe in each other based on facts and conviction. We are not a cult, so say what you feel about AA, good or bad. Say what you want about the leadership. That's why we have this community. We are not sheep. We have brains. Let's use them to make decisions. No, you're not sheep. You're apes. You're apes. At least sheeps have wool to contribute. What the hell do apes have to contribute? We have brains. Let's use them. I mean, that's sacrilegious. You don't have a brain. You're an ape. What are you talking about? Come on, get with the program here. But, I mean, come on. Movement questions everything. You're really a movement? No. Because all you got to do is go back to this comment here and see, this guy is a member of a cult here. This Scott Allen guy, the one guy, he's not interested in challenging what he already thinks. He's been told what it is. The price went down in June. Obviously, the price went down in June. Come on, Scott. You are such a fucking shill. The price went down in June. See? See right here? The price, it went down. It went down in June. I swear it did. Because that's what Trey told me. The price went down in June. Yeah, fuck your stupid fucking cult. You know? Bah, exactly. Exactly. This is a cult, and, you know, it's not even a good one. It doesn't even have the good drugs. Doesn't even have the good drugs. But, yeah. That right there tells me, you know, like, that tells me everything. That should tell everyone. Anybody who's watching this who is not already, you know, questioning this shit, which I don't think there is anybody watching this except other people who, you know, get this at this point, which is sad in a way, you know, but I'm, you know, grateful for you guys, obviously. But, you know, the people who need to see this shit are not watching it, unfortunately. But, I mean, that says it all right there. You don't even know when the stock went up or down. You don't even know what happened. And you were watching the 1 minute chart every day. You were watching the 1 minute chart every fucking day for the whole market for a year now. And you didn't know that the price went up in June. I mean, that's sad. That is so bad. That's horrible. That's terrible. That's absolute. I mean, I can't stress that enough. How stupid that is. Oh my God. Wow. No, that's cult behavior. When confronted with the facts, you still run to your, you know, fake ass shit and repeat it as if repeating it will make it true. Repeating that the price went up down in June is not going to make it true. Sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anybody else get their Investor Connect early screening? Wow. Oh my God. AMC loves me so much that they are going to give me a chance to give them money when other people aren't allowed to give them money. Wow. What a company. What a company. Where's Joey when you need him? I am bashing AMC. Oh my God. The squeeze simulator that came out last year, it disappeared. Oh boy. What are you going to do now? AMC, number one fintail retail ownership. That keeps coming up. Yeah. Colt. All right. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's a chart. Okay. All right. That might be all. Mainly, I just wanted to talk about this essay and talk about it, offer some criticism and support here and there for it. So we did that. Reverse stock split. Oh man. Well, it wouldn't be one of my videos. Well, I guess it would be, but it's been a while. Finance news. Is it Clay? Is it Stoner? I think it's going to be Clay because I don't see his face.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, it's
Welcome back to
Clay.
the channel. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your support.
Woo!
Clay here with a huge
All right.
AMC update. The
Huge.
most recent FUD campaign has people pushing for a reverse stock split
my
despite the
God.
damage it could do to the community. Be sure to stick around, but before I get into it, click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. While you're at it, go
get some free money.
Get yourself some free money.
Free money.
Guys, check this out. Crystal Ball 93 tweets,
Oh,
reverse
boy,
stock splits are when a
this
company
shill-
reduces the number of shares outstanding and the stock price goes up by the same factor. For example, if AMC did a 1-to-3 reverse split, if you had 300 shares before, you have 100 after.
That's not
But-
going to happen. Why would you do that on a company that's in $5 billion in debt? It makes no sense. This person has no fucking clue what they're talking about. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This guy is...
SP would be 3 times higher, so no change in value. The most recent FUD campaign has centered around the possibility of an AMC reverse stock split in which the supply is consolidated and the price goes up. However, the number of shares you own would go down. This is an obvious play by the hedge funds to once again distract us from the matter at hand. The fact that they are so over-leveraged on their short positions that the chance of a short squeeze could bankrupt them.
No, I don't think that it's the hedge funds. I think this is just a fucking idiot here. This is just an idiot. I mean, you know, not everybody's a hedge fund shill. Some of us are just idiots. Right? Oh, man.
The intended effect is to convince the apes that AMC is in distress. This is the most common time
It
that
is,
this
though.
tactic is used, and therefore the idea of a reverse stock split would imply that AMC is performing poorly. However, given that the numbers from our last several earnings calls have shown that AMC is on the up and up, this could not be farther from the truth.
Well, wait till
It
Monday.
is also worth noting that AMC moved their Q1 earnings call from a Thursday to a Monday. This once again shows that we are in an incredibly strong position and
What?
that there will only be good news to report.
Why is it?
And with the news of this potential reverse split spreading like wildfire, AMC had to give a response. Apestronaut tweets, AMC has no plans to propose or take any actions regarding a stock split or reverse stock split. In any event, such actions would require shareholder approval. The company
Oh,
has
that's what you think. That's what you think. Yeah. I could have told you that. No. However, you know, why don't we start a rumor that AMC is going to be delisted from the stock exchange and go to OTC market? That's what we should do. Just start a fucking see if we can actually make it get it so these guys talk about it. Even if it's just shill talk daily, I would take that. Put it out there. AMC is going to be trading on the OTC market starting July 1st. That's my FUD. You know, it's time to fight fire with fire. They don't want to believe anything. They don't want to question anything. They want to think, you know, that they're going to be rich. You know, they want to listen to Boss Blunts. Which, oh God, what the fuck has he been saying lately anyway? I don't know. You guys are going to be so fucking rich. Well, guess what, boss? AMC is going OTC July 1st. Mark my words. Mark my words. And your calendar. OTC, baby. Pink sheets. Little pink sheets for you and me. Here we go. Here we go. LFG. Oh, my God. Buying products from Overstock.com instead of Amazon would really put a hurt on AMC shorts. Yeah, okay, yeah. Let me browse over to Overstock.com and see what they got. Well, let's see what they got. Oh my God, Overstock. Fucking shit. Who cares about Overstock? I'm so sick of hearing about Overstock.com. Mark Cahotis, whatever. Get off there. Wow. Let me see here. What do they have? I need a new laptop. What do they have? Buy it from Overstock instead. Oh, they have computer desks. Great. Where's the laptops? Yeah, good suggestion there, buddy. They don't even sell computers. Spence, Froggy Stonks. Good job. That's a great suggestion. Seriously? Okay. Yeah, because they're like, what do they have? What do they have for vacuum cleaners? I need a new vacuum. Well, they have all the standard stuff. Great. Let's see. Do they have a Windsor XP12? Do they have that? No, they don't have that. Well, shit, I can't use Overstock. They don't have the vacuum I want, and they don't sell laptops. So no consumers have power. Yeah, right.
You hear me talk about not buying products from companies Citadel is long on. Buying
God, what a brain dead shit. Bankruptcy end of year, maybe. And if the pink sheets narrative goes over, if we can convince them that AMC is going on OTC on July 1st, I think we could probably convince them of bankruptcy at the end of the year. Probably. 2 days to cover. 2 days to cover. Oh, man, I love that, too. Days to cover. Oh, wow, the days to cover. Oh, boy, that's climbing. Oh, shit. That's climbing. Days to cover. Because, the hedge funds, the hedge fucks, they're looking at that days to cover like, oh, shit, we only have 2 days. Ah! We better sell our Chinese stocks. Ah! Oh, my God. Wow. All right. Well, I think that's about it. It's almost midnight, so I'm trying to keep these videos short. That's a joke, right? Because it's been almost 3 hours. That's all right, though. Better than 4, better than 5. And, it's always a fun time. But, yeah, we'll come back on tomorrow for this futures market. We'll see what's happening there. Now, and Lynn is going to come on tomorrow, hopefully still. And anyone else, too, hell, the more the merrier. It's just me talking to myself here, which I do all day anyway, so. But I'm looking forward to that, having a discussion, with someone else on here tomorrow, looking at, the market for next week, talking about it, looking at some AMC bullshit, so it'll be a fun time. Around 5:45 tomorrow afternoon, evening, Eastern time. So, Lynn, that's Eastern time now, okay? Remember, Eastern Daylight Time. I don't know whatever time you're in, but it's 5:45 real time. My time. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Weekend, what have you. But, yeah, thanks for being here and supporting the cause. And, if I could, we would have that prop bet website and we could all make some money. We could all make some money, but I'll figure out another way. Hey, we're almost at 600 subscribers. If we can get to 1,000, then I can monetize the channel. And then what I was thinking about doing was monetizing the channel, and you all get ad blockers. I'll put a link to the ad blocker in the fucking description. Any income that comes from the monetized channel would get reinvested into starting like a little hedge fund or a fund of some kind, and do it on Robinhood so we can do fractional shares, and that would be like the Scott Allen hedge fund, and we would all be sharing in that profit. There's only one thing to say to that idea. And I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Is just as soon as I can find what I'm looking for here. There's only one thing to say to that idea. And that is, God, roll another blunt, man. That's all. Or actually, it's, you're full of shit. Hey, I think that would be cool, though. Who else does that? Everybody takes the money and they run and they buy black dildos and, stupid lamps and everything else. Why not? Hey, this money, it's not legitimate money anyway. It's from ads. Ads are stupid. It's all bullshit. So why don't we take that money and reinvest it, you know, into something. And then once my investment picks, you know, go to the moon, then we can all share in the profit. Makes sense to me. So we need to get to 1,000 first. Anyway, Lynn, see you tomorrow, 5:45 or whenever, you know, after that. It doesn't have to be right then. See you tomorrow then. Model 3 dude, thanks for being here. Emmanuel, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. Seriously. Without, you know, it's nice to know that there's, you know, going to be a consistent group of people around a lot of the time. So really, you know, it makes it a lot easier and more enjoyable. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Livable socialists. See you. All right. Going to go back to the Hall of Grifters for the ending here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace. See ya. Antoinette. Of course. Sorry. Did not see that you were still lurking in there. Thank you very much for being here and your support as well. Have a good night. See you. Peace. Good night.
You don't trust me, I don't trust you. Now what the fuck we supposed to do? You disrespectful, I'll break your neck, ho. I'd rather live alone than listen to you moan and groan.